Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. This is the carburetor off the Honda Trx 250X. And I have to be honest with you, I did take a quick look inside to make sure it was rebuildable. And the second thing I did is I tried to blow through. This is where the gasoline goes in, you know, opening and closing the float. I tried to blow through there and I had nothing go through. Turns out one of those insects that build kind of a catacomb in a cocoon, let's go with cocoon, in small places, they had built something in there, so I had to dig it out. Anyway, with any carb rebuild, you always start by taking it apart. Here's the ball. Obviously, you take those 4 bolts out. Well, actually, let's take a quick look in here at the fuel pump first. This part is the fuel pump, and I'll show you how it works. This is, I'm taking the throttle control side of the carburetor off, this little plastic cover. So the way this works is the throttle cable comes down through here, goes around this loop, and when you give it throttle, it pulls up, and you see how it's kind of pushing on this thing here? Well, that pushing on this thing moves a little plunger, which is how your fuel pump operates. So, let's take a quick look in here first. I recommend using a tray like this. That way nothing falls overboard and rolls away. A lot of these pieces, if you lose them, even if you have a tool, even if you have a rebuild kit, you might not have everything you need should you lose like these bolts here. There's a spring in here, obviously, and hopefully I can show you this without getting into too much trouble. See, as I push this, how this moves? Well, this is your fuel pump. This is connected right to the bar there. Now what I did is, by using, you know, the spray can and wand, I've already, you know, kind of put fluid through all these nice little holes here, made sure that they were free, and all of that. So the fuel pump is apart. Once again, to put it back together again, right, plunger into the hole, right, spring. This on top, make sure you pay attention where kind of your single bolt goes. When I'm doing something like this, I tend to put one like all the way back in so that things don't slide about. Right, I make sure everything's nice and in place. And look at that, your fuel pump's already done. Next, take the bowl off the bottom of the carburetor. And this gives you access to the jets. Once again, do your best not to lose any screws. If you do, you'll find yourself going to yet another spare carburetor to take it apart to get screws out of it. Okay, your bowl is ready to come off. Put the choke in some convenient position so that it doesn't hang you up. And the bottom of the bowl is off. And as you look, it's actually pretty clean, right? Looks really pretty good. I use, by the way, carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner, kind of all the same stuff. Right? It's actually very, very clean. I also just as soon it land in the tray and evaporate rather than, you know, go God knows where, get into the groundwater and all. So, take note of where this is. This little piece here. And might as well put it out of the way. When I rebuild the carburetor, that is the piece that I most often forget to put in, and I then look in the tray, and sure enough, you know, it's sitting there waiting for me. So, to take this apart, slide the pivot shaft out, lift it up, and you can see the floats, and you can see the little needle valve, right? Now, as I mentioned, this thing was clogged up, so I had to clean it out, so that's already done. And I don't take anything all that sharp, but normally just a flat screwdriver, and I run it right along here like this, just to make sure they're all cleaned up. Now I know they're in pretty good shape because once again I already did a quick look in this carburetor to see what kind of trouble I had. For this part, now I don't know if I'm showing you, there's a set of holes here, and if you go around 180 degrees there's a set of holes, and if you look through the center, hopefully I'm showing you this, there's a hole down the center. Make sure they're all clean, and I already showed you I like to use just a piece of wire, right, and once again make sure they're nice and clean. So that bigger jet is actually the jet that runs your high speed. They call it the high speed jet, and it was really in pretty good shape. This one in the center is the low speed jet. Sometimes you loosen it and you gotta drop it out as I just did, right? And once again you check the holes, and in this case yeah, the holes look like they're clear. When you're looking through it in this way or in that way, the hole should appear round. If it doesn't appear perfectly round, you probably want to run something through it just to make sure it's clear. So that's out. And lastly, this is your idle adjustment screw. Normally you tighten it up 1, 2, so 3 half turns. So I know where it is. When I back it all the way out, when I put it back in, I'll tighten it up all the way, then I'll just undo it 3 half turns to kind of get it back to where it was when it all started. This carburetor, I was wondering why I didn't use it, didn't move it elsewhere or do anything with it. And it turns out this carburetor was missing this jet. And I don't know if you guys watch him. It's ATC Mike 33 or Mike 33 ATC or something like that. Good guy. I've met him. Lives out in Orange County there. Anyway, I bought a bunch of stuff from him. He was kind of cleaning out, and in it came a rebuild kit. And I don't know if you can read this. It says it's for the Trx250X, and I kind of, you know, when I needed this needle valve, I kind of got the parts from it. So I've already kind of blown through this passage with, you know, the magic wand here and made sure it's all clean. But I'm not quite sure this is the right needle for the carburetor. It kind of fit in the hole, looked like about the right length. And there's also a spring in there. Be careful not to lose that. So the carburetor's apart. Now what I'm going to do is, you know, I opened up all the various passages, you know, and blow carburetor cleaner through them. Right, so into here and here, and there's brass fittings in there. I try to get some fluid through there, and little holes, and where this needle valve is, there's a little hole that comes out here, so hopefully you're seeing that, and you know, and just to make sure everything's nice and clear, right, just wash the whole thing out. Wide open now, so once again, wash it all out, all the various little ports. Wise to wear gloves when doing this. This stuff is not good for you. So there we are. I kind of give a carburetor, I call this the first rebuild, and about 90% of the time, 80-90% of the time, it's all the rebuild I have to do. About 20% of the time I find myself going back in, and I actually have to forcefully jet air through some of the passages or soak them or go further. Normally for that 10 or 20%, it's hard to bring the carburetors back. There's something else wrong with them. This carburetor happens to be a $100 carburetor on eBay, so it does kind of pay to fix it. I mean, it's not like a $15 or $20 carburetor that's you know, dime a dozen almost. This thing's, there's money here. I think even the rebuild kit is close to 30, so you actually want to pay attention to what you're up to. I'm going to put this all back together again. Not exciting. I don't think you guys need to see it. And hopefully we'll get it onto the bike over the next day or so, and try to get that, you know, hack an electrical system, and we'll try to get that thing started. I'm going to end this video here because I don't like these getting too horribly long, and this is probably, when you add the little bits together, it's probably approaching a half hour, so that's about enough for anybody's attention span. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for watching and commenting and subscribing. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now. Hey tubers, well, it's time to see if this Honda Trx250X starts or not. So we got the portable CDI unit on it. We rebuilt the carburetor, and you watched that on the video at the beginning of this video. Got the gas into the gas line here. Got the starting fluid ready to go. So it's a matter of just turning this on. I'm going to set up the camera and we're going to try to give this a kickstart. Let's see how she does. Now hopefully there won't be me falling over or anything. Choke off. Just a hoot'll do you. Choke on. Power on. What you did not see before the video was like the bunch of other kicks I put into it. This thing does not seem to want to start. And my problem with it is I call it too many unknowns. I know it's got spark because I already checked that. Right, with the portable CDI box, I know it's got spark. I did have it kick once when I was using a pit bike ignition, and it hasn't kicked over since then. So I'm not sure. I did give it a Huda starting fluid. It doesn't appear to be flooded. It's kind of hard when I'm kicking it over, but I really didn't notice anything kind of puffing out the carburetor. It does have halfway decent compression, even including that the compression release was doing its thing. So I'm not sure what to think about it. The carburetor is a big unknown, and that idle needle valve I put into it was from a 300EX, so I'm not exactly sure it's the right one. I did look up carburetors and carburetor kits, and the needle valve for the 250X looked a little different than the one for the 300EX. Now there's things that I could do, but I really don't like to. On this Lakota, you can see I made that adapter and put a totally different carburetor onto that thing. This thing is more or less put together, and what it needs is it needs a ring and cylinder hone. So I really don't want to tear it apart. It's got the air filter on it and all. I know there's no bugs building nests in the air cleaner there, so I'd really rather not take that one apart. And then I got this guy out here that's got a brand new carb on it. And this one, I got it running. She runs sweet, but I'd really rather not tear that one apart either. So what I did last night is I ordered it a carb. I found one for 60 bucks. He wanted it was 70 bucks on sale for 66. Make an offer. I offered him 60. It's a new clone carb. I don't know. He took the offer. It should be here in a few days. So my lean is to kind of hold for that. I really do think it's a carburetor issue. But I don't know that even if see my problem is with my hip the way it is and all, I'm not all that great at kick-starting these things. Just a quick comment, if one is out, what kind of bike am I going to buy, what do I want, and that kind of stuff. This 250X or the 300EX, these are great bikes to do the kind of stuff that, if you guys watch him, Quad Racers does. I mean, he runs his stuff hard, he bounces it around, they jump them, they do all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And the reason why a bike like this is good, it's very simple. They're also doing some of that stuff to, looks like a Yamaha something or another. It's got a lot of plastic and stuff on it, and also a Can-Am that's got a lot of plastic and gauges and junk like that on it. I would have a tendency not to do that stuff to those bikes, because I don't think all that would take it very well. This is really a very simple bike, right? That front end is very, very rebuildable. The frame is very, very solid. The rear end, once again, same thing. Simple, rebuildable. As long as you keep things tight, it doesn't throw the chain. The engine is pretty bulletproof. So you don't have all kinds of gauges and interlocks and batteries and charging systems and all that crazy stuff to go wrong with this. So this is the kind of bike I would have a tendency to jump. Considering how well it's made, it's what I would call relatively light. So this is the kind of bike that I would be doing his kind of stuff with. I would have a tendency to avoid the bikes that have a lot of stuff to break on them, because if you care about that stuff, once you jump and it breaks, you got to fix it, right? Circuit boards don't take the pounding of a jump or the the hard landing and so forth. So this is a perfect bike for that kind of stuff. Simple and all that. For using it for utility purposes, it's a pain in the neck. It doesn't have racks. It's got a hand clutch. So if you're out in the woods or around the lawn, you're fussing about with a hand clutch. Not great for utility. Really, really good for you want to romp, you want to fly. Perfect bike. Anyway, my light's blinking, so I gotta go. I want to thank everybody for watching and commenting and subscribing. You'll see this thing again in the near future. Remember, feet down, heads up, get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.